Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Aside from upgrades here and there, it really has been a long time since I've got down and dirty and dug into a truck, taken it apart, and really upgraded it well. I've had my eye on a particular truck for quite a while, and that is actually not a truck at all. It's a Truggy, or should I say a truggified buggy.
I'm sorry, what?
I want to trugify the Arrma Typhon. I grabbed this bad boy for a great deal on Facebook Marketplace, so come along for the ride where I take this thing from my regular old buggy to a bashing Truggy. So this thing's pretty filthy looking. This is the version 2 and it's currently on the version 5, so it's older. It's got the old BLX electronic system in it, which is actually a great electronic system, by the way. Really durable and quite fast. So I might just keep that in, we'll see. This truck does happen to have an upgraded servo arm and servo, as well as some hot racing suspension mounts in the rear and one, it looks like, in the front. The rest of it though is pretty beat up and stock. So my plan is to widen this, not too wide and not too narrow. I want to make it proportioned. And I've done some research, looked at what other people have done to trugify a Typhon, including the legend Rich Duperbash. And I'm going to follow their lead. I've also seen some cool projects, including one from a subscriber that posted on my YouTube community page. I'd encourage other people to do that too. It's a fun way to share your pictures of your RC rigs. Go to the YouTube community section of my page and post away. So the way I've settled on doing this is using Creighton hubs, hexes, and stub axles, along with Mojave arms, axles, and linkages. That should give the right proportions for a wider but not too wide stance. And then I'll include some bigger tires and some beefier parts to make sure this thing doesn't break with the different geometry. Stay tuned. I think this is going to be a super fun build, and I'll definitely take it out bashing to show you how it goes. Although this hobby is super expensive and it's kind of hard to save money while you do it, I'm going to try to not break the bank on this build as well. So maybe some of you can do it too and not spend too much money. All right, I am about to get started on this build. Many of the parts that I ordered have come in and I'm still waiting on a few more. But let me run through what I've got here. So AW Machining is a small company that produces some amazing parts. Here it is, the label, AW Machining, and he's got an eBay store, AW-Machining. So these are some awesome shock towers. I've got the RPM bumper that I use on my other Typhon. It's worked really well, and you know, it really doesn't come with much of a bumper, so it needs something to protect all that up front, all the steering. So we'll throw that on. I got a Spectrum receiver because it didn't actually come with the receiver. I got some Trio bulkheads here. These are tried and true by me, and I love them. I've got them on many of my rigs, the Creighton, the Notorious, and everything. So these are the black ones I'm going to try. Got front and back for those. These are the Creighton rear hubs and front hubs. That'll extend it out wider than these Typhon hubs here. These are the Creighton hexes. Same deal with that. You would think they'd be the same, and they look very similar between the Typhon and the Creighton, but they're actually a little bigger. So let's see if I can show that. So first of all, you can see it's thicker on the hex end of it, and it's longer. So yeah. Proline Badlands MX28. These are the belted ones. They are 2.10 by 5.02. These fit really well. I have used them actually on a stock Typhon, but they're really tight and they rub really hard in the center here on the wheel. I have one that's stripped out. I actually have 3 good ones of this, so I ended up buying a couple more to throw on there. I'm actually going to buy some aluminum hex adapters, and that's because these are likely to break, crack, and mine have even stripped completely out to where I couldn't actually repair it. I paid way too much money for some aluminum hex adapters from RCAWD. There really wasn't many options out there. There was that, and ADU makes some, but they were both around 75 bucks. These wheels and tires are not cheap either. So at least maybe that will keep them preserved for longer. And like I said, I've got quite a few other parts coming, and I'll show you those when they come. So let's get started on taking this apart. I'm going to do this in stages, and I'll take you along for the ride. This truck is quite dirty, and I'm hoping that the bolts aren't stripped. You never know when you get these used rigs on Facebook Marketplace. I got this one for a really great deal, 250 bucks, which is pretty amazing. We'll go ahead and see what we got. Okay, there we go. This is pretty dirty. We'll clean it up. I am going to change out the shock springs and probably the weight. I'll put in some new diff fluid and actually check this diff. Let's do the back end. And same thing here. Those 5 bolts and this whole assembly comes off. So that's actually a little lesson for people if they'd like to remove these and want to do it the easy way. This front one had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts. And the back had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But as you can see, really pretty straightforward. These drive shafts I can keep as long as they're straight. Don't think I'll be doing any changes there. Here we have the chassis, the center diff, electronics, and the servo. So there were a couple people that inspired me on this project. One of them, of course, was the legend Rich Duper Bash, and also RC Dude 81. Both of those guys have done these truggified Typhons, and they're sort of the OGs of it in my eyes. But there's a guy on Facebook, Daniel Thompson, who is super good at these. He's done several, and I've seen some of his builds. They look really great. So here's a bolt that is stripped, unfortunately. Looks like one that goes to the diff. That's a shame. See if we can't get it a little looser with some heat. Always worth a try. Don't want to get it too hot because that's the one that goes to the ESC. This pick can also help if there's any dirt in there that is not allowing it to get a firm grip. Sometimes it just needs a little cleaning out. Let's see if that helps. Dang. Unfortunately, that is not doing the trick. Shoot. All right. Well, that one will be a pain. Let's see what these other ones. That one comes out. So actually that one looks like it's to the servo maybe. There's the battery tray. This is the older style battery tray, but it should work. I'll see if I have a newer version from the V6 but I kind of doubt it. Oh, good. It's not to the ESC. This is to the servo. So I may be able to get that out from the top. Come on, let me get this out. Yes. Beauty. All right, she's out. So here's the old chassis. Let me take out these side skirts. All right, chassis out. Time for the new one. All right, so here is the replacement chassis. This is an EXB chassis from an Arrma Notorious, which is the same size as the Typhon. I can show you here if you don't believe me. So Typhon over here, Notorious over here. And the reason it has to be from the Notorious is, in my case, I wanted the EXB because it's 70-75, whereas this is just 60-61. So a little stronger aluminum. But they don't sell the EXB chassis for the Typhon. So this is the next best. Same size, but stronger chassis. And it's a lot cheaper than going for something that's a little heavier duty. Of course, you get what you pay for. But so if I went with like a M2C chassis, for example, it'd be significantly more expensive, and but it would be stronger. So I think the way I'm going to build this will work out just fine. All right, so I cleaned these up. I'll put these on, and we'll start there. All right, so got the side skirts on. Now let's take apart all this stuff, clean it up, and prepare it for landing on this chassis. I'm going to want to change these bearings. These look like really old bearings. I'm going to open up the diff, probably replace the fluid. Not bad. So that's good. It's not too dirty. All right, so I just cleaned up all these parts. Took out, cleaned up these plastic pieces. Took out all the interior parts of this. Changed out the bearings on both ends to these sealed bearings. These look like those metal shielded ones, so they're definitely due. And now everything's all cleaned up inside, so now I'm going to fill it up with some 200 weight diff fluid for the center here. You do want to let this thicker fluid kind of settle before you really understand where it's at, because it does take a while. All right. So now I'm gonna dismantle this front assembly, check out the diff, change the fluid, and I'm also gonna change the shocks. Not entirely. I'm actually just gonna change the springs. That's a tip I got from Daniel Thompson on Facebook, where he basically said you can use Creighton springs and keep these shocks. Possibly change the oil in them as well. There is the diff, front diff. All right, one. So this is the messy part of the whole thing. It's gonna look a lot less chaotic once I get all of this stuff dismantled and I can start putting it together. All right, that's pretty dirty stuff in there, but it is full. That's good. Looks smooth. Nothing's broken. So same as the center, I'll do that one. All right, so I got this all cleaned out and it's looking good. Just gonna fill it with some oil. I'm gonna put 50K in the front. So that's 200 in the center, 50K in the front, and then I think I'm gonna do 20K in the rear. That's the setup that Rich Duperbash used in his Truggified Typhon. So he rips that thing. So I figure I can't go wrong with imitating him, and then we'll adjust from there. All right, there's the front, all set to go. Now for the rear. All right, guys, so here's the rear diff. Take this thing off, check the insides, clean it out, put in some 20K diff oil, change out the bearings, and then I should be set on this. Then all I need to do is dismantle the rest of this and take the parts that I need, which is essentially the steering rack, the suspension mounts, the drive cups, perhaps the chassis braces, but I've got an idea for an upgrade with that, so we'll see. So this was the dismantling video, as you saw. Stay tuned for the next part of this series where I start putting on all these goodies and modifying some of these parts to start putting this thing back together as a truggified Typhon. See you in the next one. Thanks.